Hello fellow audio nerds, I'm Steph and this is Major Hi-Fi. This week I got a chance to spend some quality time with the newest from Sennheiser, the HD400S. They go for about $70, they're super portable, but the question is, how do they sound? Let's go back in time, I'll share with you my first impressions, and then I'll meet you right back here for my overall thoughts. Alright, here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to my place. So today I have with me the Sennheiser HD400S, so let's see what's inside the box here. Alright, so as you'll see here, it's a pretty simple package. First things first, there's some documentation here. Here's a nice little pouch, drawstring, so you can kind of carry them around in a pouch. And then we've got the headphones themselves. Additionally though, this cable is detachable. So it comes with the detachable cable. It has a microphone with a little remote on there so you can talk on the phone, play pause. And additionally has a 3.5mm connector. It's an L-shape 3.5mm connector there. Now as for the design of the headphones, if you're familiar at all with the HD 4.20, these are actually a really similar design. As for the headband, you'll notice it's made of plastic here. It does have a little bit of padding underneath that's coated in sort of a rubbery material. The extender here is kind of a just simple plastic, but it has detents so you can sort of easily like get it to stay in the right size that you want. At the base of that though, these headphones have some hinges, so they fold up, so they're super portable, which is really nice. And then additionally there's another little hinge that it connects to the yoke, and it lets this ear cup rock back and forth like that. And then of course the Y-shaped yoke connects to both sides of the ear cup itself, and that lets these headphones rock a little bit as well, so it can sort of adapt to different head shapes and stuff. So just putting these on my head, it's pretty comfortable. I feel a little bit of pressure at the top of the head, but it's not terrible. And also I'm just realizing like they're really good at blocking out sound. Yeah, really nice and sound isolating. I like the size of these ear cups. You'll notice that they're not too big, not too small. They will definitely fit totally around your ear, but they don't feel like bulky at all. They just kind of, yeah, they look nice. They actually have a really nice mature look, especially with just this matte black finish. It's a really simple headphone that won't draw too much attention, you know. They're just a good, like, you know, I could see these being really great for just taking with you on your daily commute, for example. Now at the base of the ear cup, you'll see this little spot here. That's for the cable. Now the cable does attach. Let's see, you'll notice, I wonder how it comes across on the camera, but basically this cable has, just like other Sennheiser products, it has a little like locking mechanism, so when you put these in, just make sure that you put it in, you kind of wait for it to like lock into place and then twist it, and then it's in. It'll be really secure in place there. Then as for the ear cups, you'll see that the amount of space here, it's a little bit of a narrow, let's see, I want to get the light right so you can really see it. Yeah, so it's kind of a narrow space there for the ear. So if you do have larger ears and you don't like things to touch your ear, like you don't like the ear pad to touch it, these might not be the ones for you. But if you have smaller ears, or if you don't mind it touching the side at all, then this is going to be a really good option for you. It's a soft ear pad. It feels really nice. It's coated in kind of a just like pleather material, and yeah, it just follows the sort of oval shape of the ear cup, minus the sort of narrow hole that you have there. But in general, I'm really impressed with how sound isolating they are. Yeah, and it's comfortable, you know, like I have a pair of headphones that are like $100, and you know, this is right on par with the comfort of those headphones as well. Now, as for the cable that it comes with, it's kind of the standard 1.2 meter length cable, and I like it. It doesn't get tangled up in itself too easily. It kind of maintains space. It's good at, you know, it's very manageable. It's a little bit stiff because this jacket feels a little bit thick. But yeah, it's not going to coil up super easily. But that said, you know, I wonder really how much you really need to, because of how, you know, good and manageable it is. Just also want to show you the controller here it is, just one button, and that's where the microphone is as well. So yeah, I'm excited to give these a listen. I'm going to connect the cable now and see how they sound. Alright, interesting. I like the low end on these. It's nice and big. I was just listening to the song IF by La Femme, and the lows of the kick drum feel nice and big, and then the sub synth feels like it has a nice sense of subbiness to it for sure. I think bass heads will really like this. I think it's going to be effective for different genres that need that low end. Yeah, it really just creates a nice foundation for the rest of the frequency response to sit on. It feels solid, and it doesn't feel overly punchy. It just feels nice and like big, but has a good sense of clarity to it as well. Okay, yeah, I was just listening to the song Daydreamin' by Middle Brother, and the mid-range definitely seems to lean a bit toward the high mids. The vocal in the song sits louder, more forward in the mix than usual, and the way that the acoustic guitar sits in the song feels a little bit different tonally than usual. The sort of like attack, or the, in other words, kind of the stringiness of that guitar sits a little bit forward in the mix compared to the body of that guitar. And then likewise, I had a kind of a similar experience with the electric guitar as well. It still felt like full in a sense, but it seemed to lean toward those high mids a bit. Alright, yeah, I was just listening to the song Didn't You Know by Erykah Badu, and the way the high frequencies sort of lean in an interesting direction. The hi-hat feels a little bit less chunky than usual. It's a little bit less like rich sounding, but it does sound really nice and specific and clear, and it actually leaves more space kind of for the vocal and for the hand drum. The hand drum feels really well balanced in the track. I think it's definitely like a shaped high end, so it won't be great for those that need something that's more realistic sounding, but for this genre and for things that kind of can handle a little bit of like character and shape to the high end, I think you might really, really like these. And additionally, Erykah's vocal has a little bit of sense of air to it. It's more of like an audible air, and I didn't hear it the whole time, but really it came through when she emphasized it herself. So during like the haze and the so during the ooze and the haze, I could really hear the sense of air coming through there. Alright, I was just listening to the song Miles Runs the Voodoo Down by Miles Davis. I do think that the soundstage is really well done, actually. In terms of the sense of width, there's really, really high contrast between the things that are hard panned from each other, and then from the trumpet right up the middle in that song. And the sense of height also has a really kind of distinct contrast from the high frequency instruments like the cymbals, even the trumpet itself, the horns, from the lower frequency instruments, the upright bass, even like the tom hits really seem to have that sense of subbiness to them. So yeah, definitely not a realistic in terms of the frequency response, but I think that the frequency response of the headphones helps the soundstage and makes it a little bit more dramatic, so it's a little bit more emotionally impactful. But anyway, yeah, I'm definitely interested in listening to these a bit more. Yeah, I will see you back at the Major Hi-Fi office with my overall thoughts at the end of the week. Alright, here we go. Overall, the low frequencies of the HD400S have a nice amount of emphasis in the sub-region of the low frequencies. As a result, this creates a nice sense of dimensionality and a sense of energy to mixes that utilize sub-frequencies as a method of emotional impact. It's kind of a unique sounding low end because it's not super punchy like the M50X or something like that, but rather it has this nice sense of warmth to it. But that warmth, and because of where the boost is in the low frequencies, it basically makes it so that it doesn't interfere with the mid-range at all. The mid-range remains clear and separated from the lows. As for the mid-range of the HD400S, the mid-range itself has sort of a smiley face curve. So what does that mean? Basically, I heard a boost somewhere around 300 hertz, and then another boost in the high mids. Now, this sort of skews the realism of them, but it does make it kind of an interesting sounding mid-range. Vocals tend to step forward in the mix and be a little bit louder. Same thing with bass guitars, but basically the low area of electric guitars, for example, have a nice sense of thickness, but because there's that dip in the middle part of the mid-range, it still has a sense of spaciousness to it. And unlike the M50X, which kind of emphasizes kind of the snappiness of things, because of where the kind of dips and boosts are, sometimes snaps can come through actually a little bit lighter with the 400S. It's a little bit of a smoother feel to it as opposed to more of the rigidity of the M50X. As for the high frequencies of the HD 400S, there are areas of emphasis across the entire high frequency spectrum, the lower treble, the upper treble, and the upper octave. I did hear a bit of a substantial cut somewhere around 9 kilohertz, and as a result, this really helps to minimize the amount of sibilance that can come through. And in fact, I thought that vocals, really, there wasn't any sibilance to be found with these. That said, though, that same cut kind of limits a little bit the sense of texture. It changes the shape of the high frequencies quite a bit, so you're not going to get an extreme sense of realism or anything, but you will experience kind of a more aesthetic shape to those high frequencies for certain genres. As for the soundstage of the HD 400S, I found a nice sense of contrast in the width and in the height. For example, you know, because of the various areas of emphasis in the high frequencies, including the upper octave, that contrasts really nicely with that big kind of subby bass down below that really anchors you like downward in the vertical domain. Likewise, the sense of width had a nice sense of contrast. It felt wide, and that contrasted nice with the phantom center. But really, it just kind of felt like there was a nice sense of spaciousness between things that were panned far out. So that said, if a mix utilizes a sense of width to create emotional impact, it comes through in a really powerful way with these headphones. The sense of depth wasn't really anything to write home about, but that said, if a mix utilizes or really emphasizes a sense of depth, it comes through with the headphones really well, because there is still a sense of harmonic complexity. So especially if a mixer is using filters to create space or even reverbs. Now, because the middle part of the mid-range feels a little bit cut to me, those reverbs and room mics aren't going to come through with emphasis really, but they are there, and it does help the sense of depth with the soundstage. Overall, the Sennheiser HD 400S I think is a great value for the money. $70, it's portable, it sounds good, it feels durable in my hands. I think it works best for hip-hop, for pop, rock, and indie music, anything with vocals, but I also kind of liked it for jazz. Now, some people want a really realistic sound for jazz music, but I thought the way that the kind of frequency response was shaped actually kind of enhanced jazz a little bit, because you don't get as much of the like really harshness that can come through in horns or cymbals sometimes, but you do get sort of a little bit more energy from upright basses and stuff. So I actually kind of liked it, although some people might not. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out this review in a little bit more depth and get a closer look at the pictures and stuff, check out the link in the description. I've left the link there to my blog post with the review of the same headphones. And yeah, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. All right, I will see you next time. Bye.